that without concrete evidence, nothing could be proven. Jiang Jai, disappointed, lamented that it was a pity, noting that countless individuals were likely eager to curry favor with such a powerful figure. Duan reassured him that the expert had relatives in Kinyu City and would naturally look after it, but correspondingly, the expert did not wish to be disturbed. This sparked a thought in Quang Lan, who wondered if the mysterious big boss might be related to Ning Feng. Kai Wai speculated whether this figure could be one of Ning Feng's elders. Meanwhile, at Ning Feng's house, he was showering when he realized that the so-called final relics were actually remains left behind by deceased secret realm demon lords, and the images that had appeared in his mind were fragments of a realm lord's memories, all absorbed together. He had no intention of becoming a realm lord himself, questioning the usefulness of these relics. However, his contemplation ceased when he recognized that some aspects of these relics could be incredibly beneficial. He understood that these realms, powered by accumulated dark energy, undergo periodic enhancements and could pose a significant threat if their invasive timelines were not resisted, potentially leading to apocalyptic scenarios. Ning Feng knew that in their timeline, few individuals had the power to reach the fourth transformation due to the incomplete cultivation paths of the awakened ones, and their professions seemed suboptimal. The information extracted from the Realm Lord's memory was ominously significant. He reasoned that while he had the strength to protect himself, he could not survive alone in a world overrun by monsters. Fortunately, not all timelines were subjected to realm invasions, as some had successfully repelled them. Ning Feng realized that collecting more remains and sharing the useful experiences contained within could have a significant impact. Yet, he also knew that how to disseminate this knowledge required careful consideration, as the information surpassed current understanding and, if mishandled, could lead to unforeseen consequences. Suddenly, his phone rang. It was Wang Yu. He asked her what was up and how he could help. Having successfully transitioned to the sharp shadow, Wang Yu told him she was treating him to dinner tonight, insisting he must come. He agreed immediately, playfully asking when he had ever missed a dinner she was treating. She confirmed it was a deal and said she would send him the location shortly, to which he replied that he understood. As she descended the stairs, her team surprised her with congratulations on her successful second transformation. Those around them were amazed she had achieved this at such a young age. Cheng mentioned he had reserved a private room at one of the best restaurants in the city to celebrate, but she apologized, explaining she had other plans that evening. She promised to host a celebration the following night and would invite everyone then. Cheng, a bit disappointed, questioned if they couldn't postpone her plans, but she insisted it was an important matter and left, leaving her teammates behind. Cheng, frustrated, remarked that Wang Yu had just completed her second transformation, but was already acting distant. The cleric girl defended Wang Yu, suggesting she must have something important to attend to and wasn't the type to disregard friends. However, Cheng expressed concern about the pace Wang Yu was setting, wondering aloud if everyone was exhausted from trying to keep up with her strides. He revealed that not only had Wang Yu completed the S-rank transition task, but she had also awakened a new hidden profession, suggesting the gap between her and the rest of the team would only widen. The cleric girl watched Wang Yu leave, while Cheng shared his fear that one day Wang Yu might leave the team behind entirely. That evening, in a bustling restaurant, Ning Feng excitedly surveyed the spread of food. Wang Yu recommended the roast whole lamb, praising its excellent taste despite its affordability, and urged him to try it. He agreed, playfully remarking that only by accompanying her could he enjoy such varied delicacies. She thanked him for the emblem he had given her, telling him how much it had helped her, but he simply nodded, absorbed in savoring his meal. Curious, he asked her if it was true that the emblem had activated a new hidden profession. Recalling the memories from the Demon King, he wondered if emblems were a means to enhance the awakeners and professions of their era, which were not yet at their optimal form. Wang Yu confirmed this, questioning him about the source of the emblems. He admitted his uncertainty about their origins. Wang Yu sighed, expressing her wish that they could purchase the emblems, as she wanted to distribute them to him and her teammates. He smiled, reflecting on how Wang Yu always included him whenever something beneficial arose. She reassured him that she would handle the emblem situation and urged him not to neglect leveling up, emphasizing the importance of self-protection in dangerous times and hinting that a suitable emblem might even unlock a new profession for him. He playfully responded that leveling up alone was troublesome, and having her protection was sufficient. She sternly told him not to give her that smile, insisting on the seriousness of her advice. Suddenly, Wang Yu winced in pain, causing her to clench her teeth. Concerned, he inquired about her discomfort. She downplayed it as a minor injury from a recent mission. He asked if she hadn't received treatment, to which she responded that she had. But as it was an S-rank mission, the boss had inflicted significant damage, and she still needed time to recover. This made him realize the daunting challenge of S-rank class change missions. Suddenly, his phone rang with an unknown number. When Ning Feng answered, a voice arrogantly demanded to know if he was Ning Feng. Instead of confirming, Ning Feng retorted, asking who was on the line. The caller, now angry, declared that it wasn't necessary for Ning Feng to know his identity and demanded to know where he got the emblem from. Wang Yu, noticing his puzzled expression, asked what was wrong. He explained that someone with a harsh tone was inquiring about the emblem. Panicked, Wang Yu wondered aloud how the caller knew, as she hadn't told anyone else. Ning Feng reassured her to forget about it and suggested they continue their meal. However, the phone rang again. The same man, now shouting, accused Ning Feng of hanging up on him and warned him that he would pay for it. Keeping his voice low to avoid alarming Wang Yu, Ning Feng hung up once more. After leaving the restaurant, Ning Feng cheerfully commented on how full he was. Wang Yu asked if he was sure he didn't need her to walk him home, to which he assured her it was unnecessary, dismissing the call as mere harassment. They bid each other goodbye. Later, as Ning Feng arrived at his apartment building, he inserted his key into the door, yawning as he entered, only to find his home in disarray, with several items destroyed. Startled, he then noticed a figure emerging from his bedroom. The man tauntingly greeted him as the young master Ning Feng. Ning Feng, taken aback, asked if this was the man who had called him. The intruder arrogantly confirmed and reminded him of his earlier warning, suggesting that Ning Feng should have answered his questions honestly to avoid this trouble. Ning Feng, trying to gather more information, asked who had sent him. But the man, now yelling, berated him for his lack of respect, insulting his recent awakening and questioning if his mentor hadn't taught him how to behave in the presence of the strong. Suddenly, another man appeared behind him and launched an attack. Ning Feng easily dodged it and swung his elbow backward, striking the man in the face. The impact made the man drop his dagger and collapse to the floor. The man in front of Ning Feng watched in horror. Smiling, Ning Feng told him to reconsider his earlier words about respecting strong individuals when faced with inquiries. The man was baffled, as the reports he had received clearly stated that Ning Feng was merely a one-star professional and a mage. He wondered how Ning Feng could possibly defeat a 3-star assassin barehanded while simultaneously grabbing the shuriken behind him. Meanwhile, Ning Feng glanced at his hand, contemplating that it was truly deserving of an all attributes plus 100 boost, given that both his reaction speed and physical capabilities had significantly improved, allowing him to handle many situations even without spells. He then dodged the shuriken thrown at him, which embedded itself in the wall behind. The assailant, realizing the situation was unfavorable, tried to escape by running towards the window and jumping out. However, Ning Feng grabbed the man's feet, causing him to slam face first into the wall and hang from the window. A moment later, Ning Feng ordered the men to clean up the mess they had caused. He shouted that his cabinet was also broken and they needed to compensate for it. One of the attackers pointed to the items on the table, explaining that they had already given him everything they had. Realizing the man was right, Ning Feng demanded they reveal who had sent them. The man replied that it was Zhao Cheng, the young master of the Lion's Vigil Guild, who believed Ning Feng possessed a unique emblem that couldn't be found elsewhere, and had hired them to learn more about him. Ning Feng pondered whether Zhao Cheng was the shield warrior from their guild, the one Wang Yu had mentioned. He warned Cheng that since he had initiated this conflict, he shouldn't blame him for being impolite, as there was a forbidden curse he hadn't yet used. He should consider himself lucky. Ning Feng then activated the Disturbing of the Mind curse known as the Soul-Seizing Gloom ritual, a dark taboo that uses one's spiritual power to temporarily control the target's mind, transforming it into a powerful avatar. He then turned this curse on the men. Meanwhile, somewhere on the road, the mage informed Cheng that Wang Yu hadn't shown up and questioned the meaning behind the actions of those men. Cheng suggested they leave early and find somewhere else to have fun. As the mage was about to discuss the emblem, Cheng interrupted, stating that he had sent someone to find Ning Feng and that if Ning Feng didn't cooperate, they should make him wish for death. The mage expressed concern about Wang Yu finding out, to which Cheng replied that he couldn't control everything and questioned whether the mage wanted to see Wang Yu suffer alone. The mage admitted it was unfortunate that the transfer mission hadn't gone as planned and that they should teach Wang Yu a lesson. Cheng explained that he had originally intended for the boss to suppress Wang Yu's spirit and scare her, planning to later swoop in as the hero to save her. However, he hadn't anticipated Wang Yu fighting so fiercely, risking injury to defeat the boss. Suddenly, they were both startled when an assassin appeared in front of them. Cheng, recovering his composure, asked if the assassin had obtained the information he wanted. But the assassin countered, asking if Cheng was responsible for Wang Yu's injury. Stunned into silence for a few seconds, Cheng softly slapped the assassin's face, questioning how he dared to meddle in his affairs and whether he had a problem. A flame then ignited on the assassin's shoulder, prompting him to quickly seize both Cheng and the mage by the neck with incredible speed. He lifted them both and declared that anyone who harmed Wang Yu didn't deserve to live in their world. but he wouldn't let them die too easily either. Slowly, he burned them alive, telling them they could now truly understand what life worse than death felt like. As they screamed in pain, the men eventually turned into ashes. The assassin himself also slowly turned to ashes and disappeared. He knew that all evidence had been eradicated with the ashes, which was an effective way to cover his tracks. However, he also recognized the inherent danger of the situation, given that he lived in an ordinary neighborhood that couldn't prevent high-level awakened beings from coming and going. Although he wasn't afraid of them with his current strength, he knew he couldn't stay at home 24 hours a day. Originally, he had planned to organize some important matters based on the memories of the Demon Lord, and fortunately, he hadn't started yet. Otherwise, if the intruder had discovered them, it would have definitely caused trouble. Therefore, he decided to tidy up and move to Doon's place first, considering that Doon was a fourth transformation powerhouse, and the security in the high-end villa area was also excellent. Later, at Doon's villa, Doon angrily exclaimed that attacking a big shot was simply reckless. He told him to rest for a while because he would check immediately if anyone else was causing trouble behind the scenes. However, he assured Doon there was no need to rush and mentioned he had another matter to discuss. He asked Doon if he knew any reliable alchemists. Doon inquired about his requirements for the alchemist, to which he responded that he needed someone with high skill, trustworthy, preferably with straightforward relationships, and ideally freelance for simplicity. Doon mentioned that the alchemists he knew were quite skilled but had joined large guilds. He noted that this arrangement was not very suitable. Recalling the memories he had absorbed, he remembered the Demon Lord once killed several high-level alchemists, whose potions were significantly superior to those in their world. Unfortunately, he didn't understand the specifics and could only transcribe the scattered recipes to discuss with a professional. However, alchemists in large guilds often weren't free to act independently, and the risk of leaking secrets was higher. Given today's lesson, he wanted to avoid attracting greedy attention prematurely. He then asked Doon to keep an eye out for him in the future and mentioned that he would also ask others for leads. Later, he called Wang Yu to inquire about a reliable alchemist, and she replied that she knew one. Surprised, he asked her if she really knew an alchemist, to which she responded that their team's priest, Zhu Ting's brother, was a skilled alchemist who had originally planned to join their guild. However, it seems Zhu Ting's brother and Cheng didn't get along, so they didn't reach an agreement. If he was interested, she could introduce them. Annoyed to hear Zhao Cheng's name again, he thought Wang Yu was unlucky to have such a teammate but was relieved that he had helped her resolve a major issue, ensuring Cheng wouldn't cause trouble in the future. Wang Yu then asked him what he needed the alchemist for, and he explained that he had found some prescriptions at home and needed someone to help him evaluate them. Amused by her query if he had found them at home again, he laughingly admitted he was in the middle of cleaning up. She told him to wait a moment as she would arrange the introduction right away, and he agreed. Later, he met Zhu Ting's older brother, who introduced himself as Zhu Wai. Zhu Wai asked if he could examine the prescriptions. Meanwhile, outside the villa, Zhu Ting was visibly upset, complaining that she wanted to get closer to Ning Feng, but her brother had kicked her out because she was too noisy, causing Wang Yu to awkwardly laugh. Inside the laboratory, Zhu Wai examined the documents and noted that while the ingredients weren't particularly special, the refining method was unfamiliar to him and appeared quite complex. Curious, Zhu Wai asked him if he knew what the potion did. He replied that it was said to increase experience gain by 100%, which left Zhu Wai staring at him in open-mouthed shock. Zhu Wai then mentioned that the experience potions currently on the market could only increase gains by a maximum of 40%, and were very expensive. He pondered whether a potion that could increase gains by 100% might allow even 1-star or 2-star professionals to level up quickly. He admitted that it was probable, but he wasn't sure and found it difficult to inquire elsewhere, which is why he had come to consult him. Zhu Wai then asked him to wait and led him upstairs to conduct an experiment, to which he nodded in agreement. From downstairs, Zhu Wai shouted for Zhu Ting to come in and serve tea to their guest. A moment later, they were seated in the living room, chatting cheerfully, when suddenly a loud crash from above startled them. They looked at each other in confusion, wondering what was happening. Zhu Ting headed towards the stairs, telling them she would go up to check. As she reached the top, something jumped in front of her, and she yelled that it was the slime her brother used for the experiments. Suddenly, something rushed at the slime, causing it to explode into pieces, stunning them all in shock. Zhu Ting immediately rushed into her brother's laboratory, worried, but found Zhu Wai jubilantly shouting that it worked and it really was 100% effective. Zhu Wai, pointing his flaming finger at them, which made Zhu Ting and Wang Yu look at him in confusion, excitedly called him over and explained that he had tested a bit of the potion he brought on the slime, and the experience gain was indeed 100%. He smiled, reassured that if this worked, the other prescriptions should work too. In his excitement, Zhu Wei used a fireball and accidentally destroyed his own laboratory table, which made Zhu Ting shout in disbelief. She remarked how her brother treasured his laboratory so much that he didn't even let her up there, but now he was the one dismantling it. A moment later, when things had settled down, the ladies, still in shock, asked if the experience gain really was 100%, to which he nodded smilingly. Zhu Wei